When Pope Francis died in April 2025, the world lost a humble leader who changed the Catholic Church. Born Jorge Mario Bergoglio, he was known for kindness, helping the poor, and shaking up old traditions. His death at 88 ended a special time, but what police found in his Vatican room shocked everyone. After he passed, his private space in Casa Santa Marta was locked tight, opened only by a few trusted people. Months later, experts found hidden journals, strange relics, creepy recordings, and secret items that showed a side of Francis nobody knew. These weren't just things from his job as Pope. They were pieces of a man struggling with faith, doubt, and leading billions. Now, the Vatican is dealing with these weird finds, and they're changing how we see this beloved Pope. Born on December 17, 1936 in Buenos Aires, Argentina, Jorge grew up in a simple family of Italian immigrants. He loved his culture and quietly followed his Catholic faith. As a young man, he got very sick with pneumonia, losing part of his lung, which affected him his whole life. He studied to be a chemist, but at 21, a powerful moment in church pushed him to become a priest. In 1958, he joined the Jesuits, a group focused on learning and helping others. He became a priest in 1969 and slowly climbed the church's ranks. As Archbishop of Buenos Aires, he lived simply, cooking his own food and taking the bus. He cared deeply for the poor, visiting slums and speaking up during Argentina's tough times. In 2001, Pope John Paul II made him a cardinal, putting him on the world stage. In 2013, after Pope Benedict XVI stepped down, Jorge became Pope Francis, named after Saint Francis of Assisi, a saint of peace and poverty. As the first Jesuit pope and first from the Americas, he broke tradition. He skipped the fancy palace to live in a small suite in Casa Santa Marta, wore plain clothes, and drove a simple car. He washed prisoners' feet, hugged refugees, and spoke against unfair wealth, showing a new kind of pope. Francis made big changes. He fought corruption in the Vatican, simplified its offices, and talked openly about tough topics like divorce, homosexuality, and the environment. His 2015 letter, Laudato Si, urged people to care for the planet, winning praise from many. But his dream of a church for the poor upset some who thought he was too soft on rules. His slow response to priest abuse cases also upset victims. Behind his kind smile, Francis faced enemies, health problems, and loneliness. Nobody knew how these struggles filled his secret Vatican room. When Pope Francis died on April 21, 2025, his small suite in Casa Santa Marta, with a bedroom, study, bathroom, and tiny chapel, was sealed shut. Vatican guards, following strict orders, let only a few aides and cardinals inside. A note on his desk asked for his things to be handled carefully. While the world mourned with big ceremonies, police and experts prepared to uncover a mystery. Casa Santa Marta was a simple guest house, not a pope's usual home. Francis picked it to stay humble, but it was also his private hideaway. His room had a plain bed, an old chair, a desk with books, and a small altar with a cross and Mary statue. His shelves held religious books, Argentine poems, and a worn Bible. But hidden in the room were secret spots, locked drawers, and a safe in the floor that left people stunned. The Vatican waited months to check the room, saying they needed time to grieve and choose a new pope. Rumors spread about fights among church leaders. Some wanted to share Francis's things to honor him. Others worried they'd cause trouble or hurt the church. Strict leaders whispered about risky items, while his supporters thought the delay hid proof of his goodness. The room stayed locked, guarded, and full of secrets. In October 2025, after pressure from Jesuits and historians, the Vatican led a team of experts, led by archivist Monsignor Luca Rossi, explore the room. They swore to keep quiet. What they found was wild. Piles of journals with sad confessions, relics from sad events, recordings of private prayers, and objects hinting at strange rituals. Some items suggested Francis had visions and fears he kept secret. This wasn't just a record. It was a deep look into a man carrying the church alone. The biggest shock was behind a fake bookcase panel where police found a steel safe. It needed a code and a key from Francis's prayer book to open. Inside were over 70 journals, labeled from 2013 to 2025, with names like The Wounds of Christ and God's Silence. These weren't official notes, but personal thoughts, written in his shaky handwriting or spoken to an aide when he was sick. A 2018 journal said, "I talk about hope, but I fight sadness at night. The church is hurt, and I can't fix it alone." In 2023, he wrote, "I worry I gave up too much for peace. God, judge my heart, not my title." The journal showed his pain over priest abuse, writing in 2019, "Every victim's story hurts me. I've failed them, even as I try to make it right." His words were honest, nothing like his public speeches. The safe had unsent letters to people alive and dead. One to St. Oscar Romero, a killed archbishop, said, "Your bravery makes me feel small. I talk for the poor, but have I done enough?" Another abuse victim begged, "Your pain is my fault. Please forgive me." A letter to Pope Benedict XVI, written after his 2022 death, said, "You kept the truth quiet. I chased it in a mess. We both loved the church differently." These letters were Francis trying to fix a world he felt he let down. Creepier were the relics. Dirt from an Argentine mass grave, a bloody cloth from Romero's 1980 death, and a broken St. Jude icon for hopeless causes. These were personal, held in tough times. A notebook called Visions described dreams he thought were from God. In 2021, he wrote, "I saw a saint. Peter's destroyed, the altar broken, and a voice said, 'Rebuild, but it'll cost you.'" Another dream had crying people asking for food while he had only words. These visions, real or from tiredness, haunted him. The safe showed a pope who didn't see himself as perfect, but as someone needing forgiveness. He preached kindness while seeking it, preparing for God's judgment, not sainthood. In the chapel, behind a curtain, police found a locked, soundproof door disguised as a panel. Inside was a tiny, dark room like a private prayer space, so personal it felt like Francis's heart. It had a stone altar, one candle, and walls with prayers and scary pictures. This find shook the Vatican, hinting at a pope who was almost too intense, maybe even unusual. The altar had disturbing relics, bone pieces labeled from Argentine martyrs and a bloody cloth, maybe from a Central American victim. A box held a thorny rosary, worn from use. The wall showed pain, photos of starving kids in Yemen, graves in Syria, and flooded homes in Bangladesh, next to Bible verses. Francis wrote, "If I can't feel their pain, I can't carry your cross." The scariest find was a locked case of recordings labeled Confessions, made from 2015 to 2024. These tapes caught Francis talking alone at night, his voice weak. They weren't official, but raw talks to God. In 2020, he said, "I gave the church my body, but did I give you my truth? I'm a lost shepherd." In 2023, he repeated, "Forgive my silence, the truths I didn't say." The tapes showed him struggling with deals like meeting corrupt people or giving in to strict leaders. This room was his secret place to face doubts and the world's pain. Even his closest aides didn't know it existed. Here he was just Jorge, searching for God in his messy mission. In a locked desk drawer, police found a metal case with over 50 tapes, labeled with dates and odd titles like Conclave, 2013, and Final Days, 2025. These were private, recorded alone. They showed a papacy full of bravery and pain. A 2013 tape from just after he became pope had him shaking. "I'm a sinner meant to be a saint. This job is too big, but I'll do it." A 2021 tape from a hospital showed his weakness. "My lungs fail, my legs wobble, but my soul can't." It ended with a cough and prayer, "Help me finish." A 2022 tape, The Warning, was creepy. He described a dream. "I was in empty St. Peter's, pews broken, altar dark. A shadow moved and a voice said, 'Lead, or all is lost.' He added, 'Was it you, God, or my fear?' It showed a pope scared of a church falling apart. Other tapes hinted at Vatican secrets. A 2018 one mentioned a whistleblower, maybe about money scandals. Francis said, 'I know the truth, but saying it now would ruin the church.' A 2020 tape talked about abuse victims. 'Their eyes stay with me. I've done something, but not enough.' These showed a pope who saw problems but was stuck by politics and his weak body. The tapes weren't for others. They were how Francis dealt with a lonely job, caught between change and pushback, faith and fear. Now people wonder, should these private words stay secret? The room's finds caused chaos in the Vatican. Leaders faced pressure. Jesuits wanted some journals shared to show his deep faith. Supporters saw proof of his holiness for sainthood, but strict leaders warned his visions and confessions could seem wrong or unstable, hurting the church. Fights broke out over who owned the items. Did they belong to the Vatican, Jesuits, or Francis's family? His nephew said the journals were personal. The Vatican said a pope's things are theirs. Media offered big money for the tapes, and a streaming service wanted a documentary. The Vatican, scared of drama, hid most items in secret archives, saying only general things. A letter in the safe to my successor said, "The church is a ship in a storm. Lead with love, don't fear waves." I open the doors, but some are locked. Find truth, even if it hurts, and watch for hidden shadows. Experts argue over it. Was he warning about corruption or faith problems? Some see a push for his changes, others an admission he failed. It sparked talk of a big church meeting, exciting but divisive. The find stirred public talk. On X, some posts loved Francis's humility, others spread wild theories. One viral post claimed the bloody cloth hid a Vatican secret with no proof. Another called his poetry a treasure. The Vatican tries to focus on his goodness, not the weird stuff. A folder labeled Unsent had letters to leaders, activists, victims, and enemies never sent. One to an abuse survivor said, "Your pain shames me. I pray for you, but it's not enough. Forgive the church." Another activist said, "You fight for the earth while I write. Stay strong." A letter to a dictator was harsh. Your hands have blood. Repent. A 2023 letter to Benedict XVI said, You studied, I served. We clashed, but I valued you. Rest, brother. Another to a strict cardinal said, I see your faith in our fights. Hope you see mine. A letter to the world's poor said, You teach me. I wear a pope's robe, but you wear suffering's crown. I won't forget you. These letters made Francis feel real, not just a big figure. A medical journal in the safe detailed his health from 2013 to 2025, covering lung issues, leg pain, heart trouble, and constant pain. A 2019 note said, Doctors want rest, but the world needs me. God will help. In 2024, my heart's weak, but my will isn't. It listed secret treatments like Argentine teas and acupuncture. Francis wrote, I don't want a long life, just to serve well. In 2022, he said, I smile for visitors but cry for the church I can't fix. Another, I don't want to be a symbol, just Jorge. The journal showed his emotional pain. In 2020, the abuse crisis breaks me. Victims' eyes cut through me. In 2023, I'm tired, God, of myself, not you. He was a man whose spirit was stronger than his body, facing death bravely. In the safe behind an envelope marked "To be opened last" was a page called My Testament from 2024. I wasn't a saint, but I looked for you. I wasn't perfect, but I loved it. I preached kindness because I needed it. Tell my story as a man who walked with the poor, tripped with the proud, and knelt at the cross. Remember me for hope, not power. Don't make me a statue. Make me a mirror to see your call to love. He ended, Pray for me as I pray for you. We're all searching for light. This testament shapes how people remember Francis. It's in sermons, 10 posts, and hearts of those who saw him as a dad, not a king. It pushes the church to value kindness over power. The finds in Francis's room leave the Vatican stuck. Should they share the journals and tapes showing his doubts and dreams? Should relics and rituals be studied as holy or hidden as risky? No clear answers exist as the church weighs openness against tradition. Most items are locked in secret archives, seen by few. Jesuits push for Francis's sainthood, using the prayer room and journals as proof of his goodness. Critics say the visions and confessions could split the church, especially for those who doubted him. The world is split too. On X, some call Francis a people's pope, others make up conspiracy stories. A big post claimed the bloody cloth hid a cover-up, but there's no proof. Another loved his poetry. The truth is in the letters, relics, and tapes, telling of a man who is both leader and human. What police found in Pope Francis's room wasn't just stuff, it was his heart opened up. In shaky words, quiet prayers, and sacred relics, he showed faith isn't about being perfect, but loving through doubt. His legacy is a mirror, not for praise, but to push us to carry kindness in a broken world.